have to be able to force, we have to now clean the data to be able to, for it to align in a way we can use it. So that's issue number 2. Issue number 3, which of the following tobacco products have you used in the past 30 days? So you see, you have, remember one of our fundamental rules was you can only have one item in a row. You must only have one item in a row before you can analyze data. But here you see this person has 1, 2, 3. The way the data are collected in Google Forms is that if you report and multiple items on the multiple response questions, they are all collected in the same row as comma separated items. So now you have to now start doing clean. This is another reason why you have to clean the data, right? Because now the data that violates our basic principle that in a row there can only be one item. You have many items here, and then you also even have inconsistent items. This person says, I smoked hookah, electronic cigarettes, some other tobacco product, but still they also said I did not use any form of tobacco product in the past 30 days. So the question is, which is which? Did you use tobacco products or did you not? So as part of a data cleaning, you have to figure out how you want to categorize people like this. Do you want to classify them as tobacco users, or do you want to classify them as tobacco non-users? Or how exactly do you want to deal with them? So that's the problem we have there, right? 2 problems that, again, we have this individual too. This one says, I use nasal tobacco, and still, they also told us, I did not use any form of tobacco in the past 30 days. That is a big problem for us because it raises into question issues of validity of the data and issues of misclassification. So remember, in science, we talk about 3 things: truth, chance, or bias, right? Truth, chance, or bias. Those are the whole of the research world focuses around those 3 things. And when we come to bias, one of the key types of bias we talk about is measurement bias, right? Measurement bias simply asks, were the data collected in a correct manner? Is the data collected accurate, right? And one of the major threats to measurement bias is misclassification. And that's the problem we have here. This guy that says, I use nasal tobacco and I did not use any form of tobacco at the same time, both things cannot be true. It's either you used tobacco or you did not, right? So the issue here is, if we classify them as a tobacco user, but in reality, they don't use tobacco, we have a problem on our hands, right? Because we have an issue of misclassification. At the same time, too, if we classify them as a non-tobacco user, but they actually use tobacco products, we still have another problem on our hands, right? So that in this, and then coming here, we also have the same issue, which was about the campaigns you had watched in the past, on tobacco prevention. Again, we have multiple items being captured in the same row, which violates the basic tenet of data analysis. You can only have one item in a row, right? This person also says, these 2 things are also contradictory. I'm not aware of tobacco campaigns. So bottom line is that you cannot have 2 items in a row, and in a column, you can only have 1 variable. Then, lastly, this column here, we also have that same problem of a mix between numeric values as well as string. So that means that when we import this data into Stata, we're going to have problems. The problem will be that it will be classified as string. Now, let us now look at another problem we have. If you look at here, the first row, which are the variable names, you'd notice that these are entire sentences, right? We can't analyze data that way. It just will not work. So that means that we have to now assign variable names to these columns, to this, each of these columns, because right now what we have are not variable names, they are entire sentences. For any data analysis to be done, we need to have meaningful variable names. So what we have to do now in this data set is to clean it. So, and how do we do that? Well, first of all, we have to download this data set. So let me first of all download this. Download, let me move this away. And I'm going to select CSV. If you have an option of using CSV, always select that. CSV is a very stable form of it. It looks like an Excel spreadsheet, but it's just more commonly used and more stable. Excel tends to come with many formatting elements inside it, which might throw some errors. But CSV is like Excel without those extra drama. So that's just how you can think of it simply. So let's download as a CSV file. So that is the file here. And let's show in folder. Let's open this as an Excel file. Right, so this is our data set here. If you want to, now one of the things I would really encourage you to do is to learn how to use Excel as people who want to do research. Excel is a very handy tool. I mean, it can do some analysis, obviously, but even if you're not using it primarily for your analysis, there's no way you're going to come across, you will need Excel in your life. So figure out how to use Excel. Has very amazing formulas. And so that could just be a pet project for you to figure out questions. Is it possible to be a smoker and not smoke in the past 30 days? I'm going to ask some of these questions and answer some of them at the end of the day. So let me just pack them for now. So to see all the items in Excel in an expanded view, click on that first node at the top here, and then double click on any of those lines. So that will expand it in full view. So now you can see everything in full view. All right, so what we have to do now is to, one, assign variable names. So to do that, we're going to create an extra row up here. So we'll click on that first row and we'll click insert. That inserts a row above what we're working with. So all of these things we're doing, this is what we call data cleaning. So that name, like I said, it's commonly used, but in terms of practically, this is what this means, right? So we will call this, how old were you? Let's call this, let's highlight that so that it's clear what we're working with. Timestamp, let's call it just timestamp, as the name implies. Now, there are some rules for assigning variable names. You shouldn't make them too long. Variable names shouldn't be like, ideally, I would recommend you to keep it at 15 characters. A variable name cannot be started with a number. You cannot start, that Stata does not accept that. You cannot start a variable name with a number. It has to start with a letter, right? And in general, try to give variable names that are intuitive, that make sense to you. So if the variable is called, how old were you last December? I'm going to call it, for example, age, right? Or how old. That way it's intuitive. Like when I see it, I know what it means. Then the next variable is regarding tobacco use, which of the following applies to you. I'm going to call this tobacco history. Then in total, how many cigarettes have you smoked in your entire life? I'm going to call it cigs smoked. And then which of the following tobacco products have you used in the last 30 days? I'm going to call it cigs 30 days. So variable names can have numbers inside them. The numbers just cannot be at the front. So you can have a number in the beginning, at the end or in the middle, but you cannot start a variable name with a number. There also cannot be spaces. You cannot have spaces in variable names. You cannot have special characters either, right? So let's summarize the rules of variable names. They have to start with a letter based on status usage or rules. Start with the letter. They should be relatively short. Again, my recommendation is that keep it to 15 to 20 characters, no more than that. You don't want to become an encyclopedia, right? Easy to remember. It should be intuitive. You can have numbers in the variable names or at the end, but numbers cannot start it. The only special character that Stata allows is an underscore. So you cannot use special symbols like $sign or the and sign in a variable name. So keep it simple, keep it understandable in a way that you can understand yourself. Then let's call this TV campaigns. And let's call this legal age. So now, this is the first thing you have to do when you're analyzing data, when you're cleaning your data from And again, if you collect data on SurveyMonkey or on Qualtrics or on most other platforms, this is the same procedure you're going to have to do. The only platform that spares you all this pain is the Chisquares platform. And we'll come to that later. Now, you are going to, so you don't forget what this means, I will advise you to immediately copy this and start creating your code book right during when you're working. So I'm going to come here and start creating my code book. So let me transpose. And so I have this here. By the way, to transpose, you just copy whatever you did. I just copied that. And then when you come there, you press Alt-Control-V. Alt-Control-V will open this panel, and then you can paste as transpose. The reason why I want to transpose it is that I want it to switch so that the rows will become columns and the columns will become rows. So it's easier for me to look at the new variables and then the old variables. So that when I come 10 years from now, I'm like, what exactly is TV campaigns? What was that measuring? I can look back here and say, okay, this is what it was measuring. And any quick questions before we proceed? Is anyone confused? Okay, no questions. All right, that's great. All right, so that's the first part of what we're going to do. And then we're going to go ahead and delete this part now, this yellow one, because we don't need it again. So we're going to delete this. See some hands are raised. Oh, repeat it. Okay, on transpose. Okay, transpose, you copy the rows you want. So in this case, I'm interested in these two rows. I copy this, right? Control-C to copy. And then when I go to where I want to paste it, I press Alt, Control, and V together at the same time. Alt, Control, and V, letter V. Exactly. And then I'll select transpose. And so that will put it nicely for me like this. Are we all happy? Any questions on that? Oh, we good. All right. All right. Now let's go back to clean our data. Now, like I said, Stata is awesome for data analysis. Stata is not good for data cleaning. So remember, one of our rules was use the simplest tool you have to get the job done. So that's why we're doing it in Excel, even though you have Stata, because the topic for this session today is data cleaning. And so that's why we're focusing on that. So I hope we're all on the same page as to why we're doing what we're doing. All right, so now let's go back to our data. So now we can go ahead and delete that yellow row. And this is now our variable names, the first row. Now, we said that you can only have numbers or letters only, right? So that means that we'll have to find a way of removing the years or here, right, in this column, right? So we have to find a way of removing every single thing that is not a number. There are many ways to do that. Let's just go ahead with the easiest way. So you select that column and we'll just find wherever we have years and replace it with nothing. So we make sure you select only that column you are interested in. Make sure you don't select all the other columns, right? Because you might have years somewhere else and you don't want to replace them. So in that case, I'm going to search for year. Now, when you have both years and year, make sure you type the plural first so that it removes that complete chunk of word first. So you're not left with some letters that you don't understand, and replace it with nothing. So I'm going to type years and replace it with nothing. And then I'm going to I'm going to change that to maybe upper letters and also try replacing. There's nothing there. Now I can change it to lowercase and singular year and replace it with nothing. So let's check. Oh, there are so many of them here. So you see why this is so manual. You see, this is why I'm saying that I told you earlier that if you're doing your research, this is not the kind of tool you want to use because it's laden with a lot of manual processes and once you're doing anything manually, that automatically raises the risk for error. So that's the problem of doing anything manually. Now, one of the things you want to know about Excel is that numbers are to the right and string are to the left. So this is why you have numbers to the right. And so whatever is on this side is a string. So I can double click on that. Those three dots, I remove them. And now everything here is a string. So, and also keep notes of what you're doing. So, so you can say variable age replaced all occurrences of years, year, year with nothing to transform the column from string to numeric. This is called documentation, right? And before you mess with your original data set, make sure you have saved a master copy. Make sure you have saved a master copy of a data set somewhere safe so that in case you made any mistake, you can go back to that, right? And also, this is the whole point of science is reproducibility. If you gave me that original data set you have, and I go through your documentation carefully, I should be able to read and come to the same result. So that's why you want to make sure you keep good notes or document. And this is what eventually forms your code book. I hope we're all on the same page. All right, I will assume so. So we've taken care of this. Now we want to make sure that all of these things like nil and none are replaced with 0, right? So one easy way we can do that is to select this, come to this icon, this filter and sort icon, and come to this filter. We'll select that filter icon. And we're going to filter out the things that are problematic for us. So we're going to select things like, let's start with nil. So we have to start doing this manually one by one. So let's start with NA, never smoked, nil, all of this. We're going to select all of them. And we're just going to replace them with 0. So we'll copy that and replace all of them with 0. All right. So that when we come back to our, so we still have things that are, like I said, remember in Excel, the things to the right are numbers, the things to the left are string. Remember? So remember, we're talking about string, numeric, and factor. Now, this variable was capturing how many cigarettes, how many, that's number, we're interested in number. So that's why we have to convert everything here from string to number. It was supposed to be captured as numeric. It is just the way we collected the data that made it appear as though it was string. What we're interested in is numeric. So, and so what will be helpful here is to have another column that we'll call unit of measurements, or let's just call it unit, right? And so we'll come to our code book. We'll say sig smoked, action taken. We created a new variable called unit, which describes the unit of measurement for that tobacco product. Usage reported. The values are values of units or possible. It could be puffs, it could be sticks, it could be packs, or it could be cartons. So individuals who reported, if you reported 0, it doesn't really matter. 0 packs, 0 cartons, doesn't matter. So we can call this 0 packs. So here, this individual reported packs. So we're going to change this to, call it packs. These are all numbers, 23 packs. So remember we said one column can only contain one information. If here we have two information, we have number of cigarettes and a unit of measurement. That cannot work. You can only have one thing. Either you have sticks, or either you have the quantity, and then the unit has to be in a separate column. That's one of the rules we established. So we have to comply with those rules. We have 100 packs. And let's see where else we have. Not applicable. So now, this is another problem we have, right? The way the data were collected is that even people who are not smokers were still asked this question. So people are now forced to say, okay, I don't even smoke. So what happens to me, right? So ideally, part of your data cleaning is that, you know, these individuals should not have been there, right? So these are missing values, but they are missing because they are not even eligible for that question. They should have been skipped, right? But Google Forms does not have a way for you to skip people who are not eligible. That means that everybody is asked every question, even the questions that do not concern them, right? And that gives rise to problems like this, where we have to now start manually assigning missing values. A missing value in Stata is a dot. So for people who are not eligible, we can't assign them as 0 per se because they are not eligible. They are missing. They should be missing. So I'm going to put this one as missing. This is 1 puff. So missing values. This is 1 puff. So, and this is sticks, 5 sticks. And then for all the other ones here, we can, all the ones that are missing, we can just put them as sticks, because, you know, 0 could be 0 sticks, doesn't really matter. So let's just put all of, so that every unit has a value. Oh, this one did not report. So 689, this one did not provide any. So is it 689 packs or is it 689 sticks? We don't know. It just says 689, which is also a problem we will have, right? Because every single no, Google Forms does not have skip patterns logic. So that gives us a problem there. So in this case here, you now have to start figuring, is it sticks? You are now having to insert your own information and say, okay, is it possible that the person could have smoked 689 packs in the past 30 days? But now you are now adding information that was not there. You're making assumptions. And one of the fundamental rules of analysis is that, oh, I should add a new rule here. Do not make any assumptions. Do not make any assumptions, right? Because you are injecting your own bias into the data. So this is one of the problems we have, right? This value has so many issues because 1, it is an extreme value that may or may not be plausible, and 2, we don't have a unit of measurement, right? So that is one of the problems we have with that. But let's just hurry up and go to the next variable. Oops. Now, another problem is that with things like copy and paste, you can easily go and paste something in the wrong field. I could easily have pasted this thing here, and then that would have been a problem. So those are some of the things you want to watch out for. Then here we have let's see, the type of tobacco product that the individual used in the past 30 days. There were several types of tobacco products that were assessed, from nasal tobacco to chewing tobacco and so on. Each of those must be created as a variable of its own, right? So you must create a new variable for each of those questions. So one of the things you also have to learn is when doing your research is you have to learn how to get information for yourself or by yourself. You have to learn how to learn. So in this kind of case, what you need is to go to Google and figure out what formula. So in this case, for example, I can come here and go to Google. So Google has to be your friend and ChatGPT has to be your friend. How to extract specific text promise. See, somebody has already asked that question. So you type that. Let's see. So because you might never know everything that you need to use. So you have to figure out how to Google. And so you might enter it and it may not work. Then again, you try again and over. So here, okay, can't seem to see anything I like there. The earlier it is in the more likely it is going to be there. So your best bet is to start with number 1. Get substring. That's not what I'm asking for. Okay. And if you can't find it, you have to find a way of refining your search. This is also part of you learning how to learn. So how to if a cell contain, okay, let's see that. It's texts. Aha, so this is what we're looking for. Check if part of a cell matches specific text, right? So this is the process I needed to go over when you're trying to figure out information for yourself. You will never have all the information you need on hand. At some point, you will have to go to the internet and figure out things by yourself. So that should become a habit you really you can try ChatGPT, you can whatever the case, whatever you're familiar or comfortable with, just do it. But you have to master the art of learning how to learn and trying to figure out things by yourself. So here, we had a lot of things here, but what we need is check if part of the cell matches specific text. So here we're saying if its number, this type, okay, so let's copy this. Let's see if it's, okay, it can be copied. All right, let's just type the formula like as it is. So you will have to do that for every single product, cigarettes and all of that. So you have to create a new column for each of those products. So insert. So let's start with cigarettes, or let's say chewing tobacco, since I saw chewing tobacco there. So the new variable name will be chewing tobacco, because remember, one of the rules says you can only have one item in a column. Here we have many items in that same column. So we have to extract each item into its own column. So the answers will be yes, it is there, or no, it's not there, or 0 versus 1. So chewing tobacco, the formula was equals to its number, search, the text was chewing tobacco in this field. So that's what we're, so that's the formula there. So we're saying, is this there or is it not there, right? So here is false, so we'll apply that to the whole column. So you have true or false, right? So we have to do that for all the tobacco products. This is chewing tobacco. We have to do that for cigarettes. Again, now, if you are doing this, one of the things I would suggest is that you make the F column fixed. The F column is where all the information is coming from. So to make it fixed, you just put the $ in front of the F, so that fixed, so that all you're doing is copy this and you're pasting it. Sorry, let me explain that's happening. So like I said, you guys have to learn how to use Excel, right? Because Excel is fun. So so if I put the $ in front of F, the platform, the Excel knows that every time I copy and paste, even for cigarettes, it has to go and look at column F. If I did not put $, if I remove a $ here, it's going to, let me remove it so you can see what happens if I don't. It's going to search for the next column, not column F. You see that, right? So that's why you want to put the $sign if you want to restrict the movement. So now if I copy it, it's always going to search for, but now what I'm searching for is cigarettes. And why are we doing this? Because any column can only contain one item. It cannot contain cigarettes and pipe, and it can only contain one column, one item in the column, right? So we have to do that for every single item that was assessed in that survey, chewing tobacco and pipes and snus. And so you can see how data cleaning takes, it could take you weeks or months to clean your data, right? Because it's the traditional way of doing it is extremely labor intensive and it's extremely error prone. The smallest thing you can make an error, you don't even realize you've made an error. And the same thing, right? We have to do that for all of these variables. TV campaigns, we now start creating one column for every single entry, right? But essentially, right, that is what is involved in data cleaning. So again, let's go and review our rules that we mentioned earlier to understand why we're doing those things, because we have to understand the why. The why is because you can only have one item per row. So in our case, we had things like 21 years or 21 packs. That cannot work. We need to only have one item per row. So we have the quantity in the first column, and then we can move the packs or the unit of measurement to another column. Only one type of variable per column, so you can only have numeric and factor or string. Remembering that string is extremely powerful. And whenever string comes in contact with anything, string will make that thing string. So if string is in the same column with numeric, obviously it will become, it will become string. You have to create a code book, which I've shown you how to do that. You have to ensure there are no inconsistent entries. So that creates a problem for us, right? For people who said, oh, in the past 30 days, I never smoked a tobacco product. And in the past 30 days, I also smoked cigarettes. That's a problem, right? There is no way to manage that makes sense. It's either we classify them as a smoker or as a non-smoker, but we always run the risk of misclassification. If we classify them as a smoker when they're not a smoker, we have misclassified them. And the same applies vice versa. Watch out for extreme values. Use the simplest tool possible. In this case, we're cleaning the data in Excel because data is not well suited for cleaning data. So that's why we're doing this in Excel. Do not make any assumptions, and prevention is better than cure. Now, once you are done with all of your data, right, you can then now move it into Stata. And there are many ways to do that. You can select the whole data, copy it, and go to Stata. Let me see where my Stata is. And you come here, Data Editor, click that, and paste, Control V. Stata will ask you, how do you want me to treat the first row? Should I treat it as data, or should I treat it as a variable name? You can then select, yes, it's a variable name. So you paste it. So you see, Stata will then read it that, okay, yes. So you can see that our data cleaning, this 6 smoked, this was a bunch of numbers and letters, but now it's black. So remember we said Stata is color-coded. Black is numbers, red is string, and blue is factor variables, right? Our age now is also all numeric because we have cleaned it that way. Our 6 smoked is also all numbers because we've cleaned that way. All these other ones are string, right? We have to find a way of managing them. And remember we said also that for this variable 630 days, we needed to create a new variable for every single product. So we have cigarettes, chewing tobacco and cigarettes, and all of them will have values of either 0 or 1, because this is a completely useless column. We cannot analyze data this way. We have to separate each of them into the respective columns. We also have to do it for these TV campaigns, this exact same thing, right? And then we also have to clean the legal age. That is what is involved in, so this is something that could easily take you weeks, especially when you're working with data set with hundreds of variables. Oh, this could easily take you months to just be able to clean your data and get it into that shape. Now, I'm going to allow you some time to ask your questions before we'll look at the way easier way of doing this. But so any questions? Let me answer any questions you might have.
Okay, let's start with some people have raised their hands. I'll start with Sidiso. I'm allowing you to talk. Sidiso, Ido, Oluwatosin. So if you guys want to speak, you can do so. Silailo, you also had your hand up. Okay. Would the video be available? Yes, the video will be sent to everyone who registered. Just scrolling up. Okay. There's a lot of AI assistant messages here. Wow.
Okay, so can we have the people with their hands up ask the question so that we can move on? We're going to have the second part of it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just want to ask regarding the missing observation with respect to the age, how we're going to be able to do that.
Sorry, do you have headphones on? We can't hear you very well.
Yes, okay. I'm asking that how do we undo the missing observation?
The missing observations. Now the problem is that we don't know why that's one of the problems with using a platform like Google Forms. We don't know because the kind of missing variables has a huge impact in how you analyze it. Not all missing values are the same, right? Because there are different types of missing values, and that's why I mentioned earlier that this kind of platform is great for. I'm going to send you a survey, want to have a party. Let me know whether you can come to the party or not. But if it's serious research, you want to use something else because these are some of the problems that surround the use of tools like this. So it's a great platform and it has its uses. But when it comes to research, formal, rigorous research, there are also a lot of gaps in the process. And so in the second part of this session, we're going to look at the easier way of doing all of this. So that will answer your question.
Thank you, sir.
Can one say that creating separate columns for each variable is more of coding activity than cleaning?
No, it's not coding because you have to, cleaning of the data is to get the data in the form you can analyze it. You can't analyze this data the way it is now. So cleaning means all of the tasks you have to do just to get the data ready in the form it can be analyzed. So in as much as we can't analyze this column the way it is now, this is also part of data cleaning. So I hope that makes sense.
Hold on. Hello? Sorry, I'm on now. Hello?
Okay, yes. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I'm Mr. Sani Kasim from Nigeria. Yes, first and foremost, I want to appreciate you for this wonderful knowledge sharing. So my question, the way we see that there is a string in the starter, can such a qualitative data be run with SPSS? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so thank you very much. So the issue is not with this, with Stata or SPSS per se. The issue is how we collected the data. So we want to separate those issues apart. Like Stata is an awesome tool, like it's powerful and all of that, but Stata is not built for cleaning data. So again, remember our the last rule we had, prevention is better than cure. You have to figure out a way to collect your data that minimizes all of these problems. Then you can analyze your data in Stata or SPSS or whichever tool you want. But first, you must collect the data in a way that makes sense and is less prone to error. So for now, that's what we're focusing on. How do you collect data in a way that is elegant and is not prone to error? So that's what we're focusing on. But after that, the choice of software doesn't matter. Stata, SPSS, EpiInfo, R, Python, it does not matter. They all will give you the exact same result. All right, any other question?
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Joy Obadoba, and I would like to ask that, so if Google Doc, I'm actually doing my thesis and I actually use Google Doc, which has taken me like 3 months now, trying to clean my data. But because I had started before I joined the class for Chi-Square, I now know that Chi-Square is a good tool for collecting data. But so I'm asking that in place of Google Doc and Chi-Square, is there any other tool that you can recommend or suggest that can do a good job as well?
So all the tools, right? All the tools will collect your data for you accurately, right? The issue is, however, the suitability of those tools for research and how much work you have to do afterwards. With Chisquares, we just built in a lot of user convenience and accuracy. Unlike other tools, again, right, Chisquares is built by researchers who know the pain of research. And so everything we do on the platform is geared towards research. It's not like other platforms that were built by some guy who finished college or finished high school and like, hey, I know how to code, I'm going to write a platform, right? Chisquares is built by researchers for researchers. So the way we address any problem, of course, is quite different from the way they're addressed on any other platform. Again, just because our focus is purely on research. So unfortunately, even if you collect your data with any other survey platform, you will still have to go through this exact same thing we've described, because they are not necessarily designed by researchers per se. Again, that doesn't negate the fact that the data you're collecting is accurate. It's just that you are going to have to sweat to get the results you need.
Yeah.
All right, let's take one more question and then let's see how the same research, right? How we can do it on the Chisquares platform. So one last question.
Can I ask one that is here also? You
Okay,
are
sure.
looking into individual rows and columns. Is there a better, faster way to do if the data is large, or the method is the same and one has to do it anyways?
It's the same. So data analysis, it doesn't matter whether you have 2 rows or 2 million rows. It's the exact same process. That's why you also want to make sure that, again, prevention, rule number 10, prevention is better than cure. So you want to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success by using tools that are well suited for that. All right, let's switch to the second part of our session then, and see how we can apply the principle of prevention is better than cure, right? So one of the first problems we had, if you notice, was that we had to we created our questionnaire in Microsoft Word, but we had to now manually type all these questions again in Google Forms, right? One of the ways the Chisquares platform allows you to be able to upload your Word document directly, right? But before you do that, there are some formatting elements you have to impute in your survey. And this is simply Q and A. Everything in front of a question must have at Q, and everything in front of an answer must have, so it's question and answer, Q or A, that's all. So it's at Q or at A, and everything at the end ends with 3 hashtags. So if you had your survey, and this is why you have to know how to use Excel. If I had a survey like this, so there are 2 ways to do this, right? You can do this manually, or you can just copy your entire survey, take it to Excel, paste it there, so that you don't have to do this manually. So again, here, this is I can just put at A for everything now. And at the end, let me drag all of this. So again, everything in front, and at the end is 3 hashtags. And I can just combine all of them together with a basic Excel paste formula. All right, and then I just apply everything and just grab that and take it to Microsoft Word back. All right. So, and then delete the things I don't need. So remember, questions for the title, T for title, so you put T. For questions, Q for question, so that's why you have the answer is at A. Again, question, and this is if you don't want to start copying and pasting this stuff in the platform, you can just format it this way so that the platform will automatically read it, right? Question, just put Q, A for answer, Q for question, A for answers, Q for question, A for answers, and that's all. So once you formatted your questionnaire this way, that completely eliminates the need for you to manually start copying and pasting all the single questions. So now let's go and import that item. And let me log into my account. So let me first of all set up the survey. So I'll set the survey. The title is Survey of Tobacco Among Adults. Let me just say Nigerian adults, just for flavor. The country, let me select Nigeria. The aims, I can generate the aims by myself or with AI. Let me just quickly generate some AI aims. All right, let me just select any 2 or 3 and clear. Keywords, generate a few of them. This is very lazy AI. I come here, only give me 2 keywords. All right, create new project. I don't want co-authors for now, so let me skip that for now. So I have my project set up. Choose question source. I'm just going to come here and say import from Word, since I have my questionnaire already created the way I designed it. So I'll upload that. And that's it. The questions are already uploaded. Since there's a possibility for you to make mistakes, that's why they are flagged, so that forces you to go back. And also the variable names, if you want to change them, you can do that way. So I come here, edit. How old were you last December? Let's call this age. And let's change the settings. Let's allow only numbers. And let's also allow for the possibility, let's say the minimum age you can be is 0. And let's provide unit of measurement. Let's say you could be aged months, you could be aged in years. And let's just allow it and let's apply. So once we're done, let's mark that as resolved and let's update that question. The second question was regarding tobacco use, whichever following applies to you. Let's call that, we call that tobacco history. So let's just make the names constant. We'll mark that as resolved. We'll update the question. In total, how many cigarettes have you smoked in your entire life? The platform has already distinguished them into the units of measurement. We can, we'll call that, I think, 630, just keeping it constant. 630 days, I think that's what we'll call it. We want to allow only numbers. Again, prevention is better than cure. Let's apply. Let's update the question. Let's mark as resolved. And then which of the following tobacco products have you used in the last 30 days? Let's edit that question. These are the different variable names. Some other tobacco products, that is a special variable, that is other. So let's create other. Let's just copy this because that's a magic button. Some other tobacco product not listed here. So let's call that some other. And we can delete that original one. And then I did not use any form of tobacco. That's also a special, that's an exclusive button. If you said you did not use, we do not expect you to use and select any of those other ones. So let's use this special button, exclusive. And let's copy this. And let's paste that here. And we can call this never tobacco. So that if you select this, the platform will not allow you to select any of those other ones. Right? And so let's mark that as resolved. And let's update that question. Multiple response. Let's edit the question. Other campaign, let's select the other. So that if you selected that, it will allow you to type whatever you want. And let's call this other campaign. We can delete that one. I'm not aware of any tobacco. That's an exclusive button. So let's type that. Let's just copy that and put that here. Oops. I am not aware. You could type anything, but I'm just being lazy now. So, and then I don't watch tobacco. So let me delete that first one. Then that's also another exclusive button. I don't watch TV or any other media. So let's put that there. Let's copy that and let's put that there. And we can delete this one too. We can mark as resolved. The answer was, please select your top 2 responses. That means that we don't want people to select more than 2 answers. So we can come here, settings, and say maximum selectable responses. Let's say 2, because the question says you can only select 2. So we can apply that. So you cannot select more than 2. And let's update that question. And then the next question is, what is the legal age of smoking in your country? Let's edit that. Let's call it legal age. And let's allow only numbers. And let's add units of measurement, because who knows? Some countries may allow people who are 12 months old smoke. Months or years, or even, let's even add days. It's possible. Let's say days, months, oops, days, months, or years. So there are 3 units we have. The minimum is 0, so you can have negative values. Let's apply. So mark as resolved. What's the legal age? Let's update that question. Now, if you said you have never used any tobacco product, ideally we shouldn't be asking you how many cigarettes you've smoked or which of the tobacco products you used. If you said you never used tobacco here, we should move you directly from this question to this question. So let's add logic. We'll come to skip patterns. I will set up a skip pattern. I will say, let's use the tobacco question. Let's done selecting. If tobacco use is exactly equal to never tobacco user, then go to this question. This one here. Submit. So that they don't have to be answering unnecessary questions that don't apply to them. So now we're done with that. Let's close this. So our survey is all set almost. Only thing is that we have to, this light is flashing because we've not set our timelines yet. So let's set the study to begin today and to end the end of the week. Let's save that and move this out of the way. And we can go ahead and preview. The preview allows you to see how the survey will be done when participants take it. So let's preview the survey. So let's start. So that if you made a mistake in setting up your survey, you can always go back and type whatever. So years, so if I say I'm a never tobacco user, it should not allow me to see the questions I have to do with tobacco. It should take me directly to this. So my logic is, okay, I didn't set that logic very well then. Let me go back. Sorry, hold on a minute. Let me restart that. Hold on a minute. Did I set it right at all? So that's the whole point of preview, to allow you to make sure that if you did not set it up very well, start survey, you can go back. You don't want to launch a survey and then realize that you made a mistake and participants are busy selecting wrong things. So that you should always preview your survey before you launch it. So never tobacco user, let's see. Okay, so I go back to my survey. Let's go back to my logic, skip patterns, to make sure that let me edit it. Then go, oh, already. Oh, I selected the wrong destination. If tobacco history is exactly equal to never tobacco user, then where I should actually route them is here, not the other one. So let's go back and submit. This is why you have to preview your survey, right? So that if you made silly mistakes, you can correct them before your participants get to take the survey. So let's do that again. And then if you need to translate your survey before we do the preview, I think some of you already in the session last time, but this is if we wanted to translate our survey, we could add a new language. The survey translation does not affect logic, so you can have as many languages, but all you need to do is set the logic in the master language. All right, let's go on with our preview again. So always preview your survey before you launch it, because that will prevent you so many heartbreaks. Instead of you launching a survey that has mistakes. So let's say never tobacco user. Aha. So now it has skipped me correctly to the question that has nothing to do with smoking. So now let's, if you have special buttons, you want to make sure they all work. And this is the whole point of preview. So if I said other, it should allow me to type something below. If I selected any of the exclusive items, I should not be able to select anything, right? So that's the whole point of preview, to make sure that you are testing your survey to make sure everything works. So here it says, please select your top 2 responses. That means I cannot select I cannot select more than 2 because that was a setting that I used. Again, this is to prevent you from data cleaning. Remember, prevention is better than cure, right? That's the whole premise. What's the legal age of smoking? 21 years. Submit. And that's so now I have taken my preview and I know that my survey is ready for launch. So I can go ahead and launch my survey and share with my participants. So let's do that now. So I will have you take the survey again for the second time so that we can see the difference. So let's copy the link and let's drop the link for you here. So, all right, so take the survey and let's look at the differences, in the data architecture and how the issue of cleaning is addressed automatically for you. So let me take the survey myself too. Oh, I did not catch this in my preview. I should have. Anyway, it's fine. I should have added a unit of measurement. I did not add that. But so I failed in my own preview. So I cannot emphasize enough that these are kind of errors there, the kind of error I made now. You want to avoid that by previewing your survey carefully. You also want to invite your colleagues or your supervisor to preview your survey, right? Because once you've launched the survey, like you've already started collecting responses. So you don't want to make that kind of mistake that I just made now. So we have 56 responses. So let's go ahead and see how the platform does this. So on the platform, you automatically have, you can download the raw data sets, but you can download the clean data set. The clean data set, all this work we're doing earlier has been done for you already, right? You don't have to do that manually. So if you just want to clean it, all you have to do is just click this and just open it. So you see, the way it's done, all the variables that are numeric are cleanly numeric. You can see numbers. The variables like let me expand this. Your age, everything is clean in one column. And then you have the type of missingness, right? For each variable, you have a variable beside it that tells you if the values are missing. So for example, history, you have missing history. The missing tells us why a particular value is missing. This guy did not give an answer. And it says the type of missing is O. O means other. We don't really know why they chose that response. Or this individual is missing and the value is P. P means partial complete. It means they never got to that part in the questionnaire and they just submitted it, right? Here, we see other types of missing. 630 days. So this is how many cigarettes did you smoke the past 30 days? S means they were skipped. So that means that the individuals were not eligible for that question. So the platform skipped them automatically. And so you have, and that's quite different from this guy. This guy also did not answer that question. This guy also has a missing value here, but his missing value is P. P means partial complete. That means that they were eligible for the survey for that question, but just did not get to that point, right? So the platform helps you understand the kind of missing values that you have so that you can effectively deal with it. But importantly, all of the information you need is already captured, right? And importantly, on the platform, you also have the ability to just to download the report, the analysis. You don't have to go and take the data into Stata and start analyzing it manually or start writing a methodology report. You just download the methodology report, for example. Sorry, I'm having internet issues now. Let's see, let me try again. So I saw some questions. Are there SOPs designed to use Chi-squares? SOP. So let me address that question. So if you have questions, you can come here, quick questions, and ask whatever question you have. So if you want to ask, for example, how can I set up skip patterns in my survey? You ask that, and then the AI will automatically answer the question for you. So that is what it's trying to do here. And so that's what it has just answered here, right? So if you have any questions, you can come to quick question and ask your question, and that will give you the answer you need. Any other questions?
Okay. Sililo?
Yes, my name is Sililo from South Africa. I'd like to ask several questions. How do I know who has responded on the survey? Let's say like I'm running an audit of some form and the respondents have responded. I'd like to draw a report. And how do I draw a report based in terms of their responses by collating their responses so that I can develop a report? Thank you.
Okay, that's a good question. So I want to clarify what you're asking in your question, right? Are you saying that you want to identify who did the survey? Is that what you're asking for?
Yes, who did the survey, firstly?
Okay.
I mean, who responded from the survey?
Okay.
I would have created the survey, but who has responded from the survey? A particular individual.
Okay.
Maybe.
So the surveys are anonymous. So we can't tell who responded or who did not respond because there's no, like in this, okay, oh, I stopped sharing my screen. Let me go back to this here. So like in the survey I did, right? Let's go back to the questions. There's no question here that allows us to know anything about the individual, right? We just know this, their age. So there's no, if you don't have a question that identifies individuals, then you won't know. But it's a different thing if you ask them, what is your name? Then you can know, right? But if the second item was, how do you now analyze the data? Well, that one's easy. You come to download report and click on download analysis report. Let's say you want to download for the whole population, you click there. The platform will take the data, analyze it. That's what it's doing right now. It has finished analysis. So we can come here and click on view download history and download the analysis report, which is this. So now we can have the analysis report that tells us everything about the analysis we just did, right? We know this is the questions. This is in terms of units, each question is answered one after the other, right? But in terms of knowing who answered what, we can't tell because there are no identifiers in the survey. We don't know their names or any other identifier. So that is impossible for for you to access. So if you want to have that information, you have to ask them the question already. Does that make any sense?
let's say, for example, the respondents have then typed multiple strings. How would I then know? How would those multiple strings be extracted from the report?
Okay.
Can I go to a
I
particular
see your
column?
point. So you have to go to
Yes.
the data. So let's go to the data again. Let's go to the raw data set now. Let's download the raw data set. So each row is a person. Each row is a unique ID. This is a data set. And you can now look at, okay, for this individual, these are the answers that they provided. They're never tobacco users, right? But even then you can look at all the answers that is selected, that this individual selected truth campaign and they selected tobacco industry campaign, but they are captured in different columns. Unlike what you had in Google Forms, they are in separated columns. But so that's how you can tell the responses from the individual participants. You go to go row by row and then look at their individual answers, right? Now, the data set here already captures the variable names that we created. So if you want to look at what each of those things mean, you come to the codebook. The codebook is like a data dictionary that, remember, we had to manually create our data dictionary. On the Chisquares platform, you don't have to manually create it because the platform will automatically create that for you, right? So you can see that each variable, 1 is months and 2 is years and so on and so forth, so that you don't have to do that manually by yourself. And these are the variables, and you can tell what each of those variables mean. So that spares you the task of having to do that manually. But in terms of looking at the individual responses, you have to go to the raw data set and look at that row by row if that's what you're interested in. But remember that for you to be able to identify individuals, you must have asked a question. So if you had asked, let's say this was the name, let's say this column was the name, and you say this is Mr. ABC, then you can say, oh, this is, and he typed his name, obviously. You can say, oh, Mr. ABC, this is what he answered. But without asking a question like that, it's impossible to know it.
For example, let's say I launch a survey.
Okay.
When I launch a survey, it gives me various ways that I can distribute my surveys to various participants.
Yes.
When I select by email, it automatically takes me through to not Outlook, but it takes me through another application. How do I force it to take me to Outlook?
Oh, okay. If you want to attach emails via emails on the Chisquares platform, what you do is that you come here and you under invite participants, you come to click here to upload participants' emails. You click on that button, you come to add participants. You click there and you can add many ways. You can add manually, you can copy and paste. If you want to copy and paste, for example, you can just copy and paste all their emails here, for example. For example, you can put my email, i@g.com, and just type, separate them. You type all the emails you want and click submit, right? If you want to upload, if you have a spreadsheet that has all the emails, you can click here and say upload from file, and you choose the file that contains all the emails and you upload it, right? The platform will automatically send the emails to the people so that you don't have to send it yourself. You can also click here to create or edit the messages that will be sent to participants. So if you come here and you can say, this is a survey invitation, here is the message I want to, you can type the message yourself, or you can click here to generate the default content. So this is saying, hi, Mr. So-and. If the names are in the column, in the spreadsheet, the platform will automatically use their names. Hi, so-and-so. We hope this message finds you well. We're writing to invite you to contribute to our survey. Click here to take the link. This is a message that will be sent to participants, but you can edit it yourself, right? Once you edit and save, the platform will then send emails to all the people that were in that spreadsheet so that you don't have to manually send it yourself. Does that answer your question?
That answers my question. The very last question.
Yeah.
Last week we covered a way to sort of have a string length I can't recall what it is, but I'll just put it in a layman's term way. We put rules to say like a minimum of 20 words, a maximum of, let's say, 500 words. When a person types, goes to the survey does not actually like guide the user to say the minimum words is 20, and the user will want to type words, and the next button will not highlight automatically. How do we ensure that you'll put maybe some wording underneath to say like the minimum words is 20 words?
Oh, I see your point. You can type it in the question itself. So if you want to type, let's pause the survey. If you want to do that, you can say, so let me just address your question quickly. So let's say we want to add a question like what you just said. Let's say that's an open-ended question and it's a multi-line question. What has been your experience traveling around South Africa in the past 12 months? Please limit your response
Noted. Thanks.
to between, let's say, 30 and 100 words, right? So you tell them there, let's call this travel, but you also go to the settings and say the minimum word count should be 20, the maximum word count should be 100. The platform is going to enforce that, right? So if, for example, let's say the minimum is 2, or let's say let's keep that 20, as we said, and let's if we look at the preview, if the user types 1 word, the platform will say write at least 20 words. 2 words, like the platform is still telling him, you have to type more until that they've gotten to 20 now. Then it will stop, right? Then if they get above, now they've gotten more than 100 words, the platform, you will not be allowed to submit your question until you cut down to the limit, right? Then that's how the platform will enforce it. So everything is in your hands, how much answer you want the participants to give, so that the whole idea is that you don't have to start cleaning or trimming data later. Everything is done automatically or enforced automatically for you.
In the preview mode, it does give you that red text just to guide you that the minimum words are that. But once you've launched your application, then it does not give you those red highlights to say the minimum words is that. Are you aware of that?
No, it does. So, for example, let's take preview, right? So let's start here. Oh, and by the way, let me correct the other problem I had with the survey. This question, which we're following, okay, I should have added, in this question, I should have added a unit of measurement, which I didn't. Provide units of measurement. I should have added puffs and sticks. So you always be careful whenever you're doing a review to make sure that it's, you have captured everything that you need to capture. Cartons or packs and cartons. So that is very important. That's the whole point of a review. Did I save it at all? Okay. Apply, update question, date. Alrighty. So if we do our preview, I just want to move to your question, current tobacco use. So just want to move there. Move there. Aha. See? Less than 2 words. The platform will enforce it. And it's showing you the number of words typed so far. Can you see that?
Yes, I can
20
see
now. Now, once we get beyond 100, see, maximum word count must be 100. So this is what the participants are going to see. So the platform, whatever you set in your settings, the platform will religiously enforce it for you. So everything is in your own control. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yes. Any other questions?
Doctor, oh, okay. There was a doctor, he's gone now. Had his hand up for a long time. Oh, Dr. Abdul, you had your hand up for long. You can speak now.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdul from ABU Zaria, Nigeria. My question is this using the Chi-Square platform, can we get a prepared questionnaire, for example, and then insert it, or is it more better we allow the AI and the Chi-Square to generate the question? Then secondly, does it only relate to health issues, or it can also go to the area of humanities and the rest of them? Then lastly, the code book, I'm interested in the code book, how it is generated at the Chi-Square level. Thank you very much.
All right, this is an excellent question. So, and I have forgotten all of them promptly.
Okay.
I remember. No. I'm not going to put through that. So
Okay.
the first question, where you should. I'm just growing old. Senile dementia. First question was whether you should create your own questions or have AI generated for you. I think the best questions, research is driven by the individual, right? AI is supposed to help you, but AI cannot think for you. So the best thing is for you to create your questions. And you can use AI assistance. So you can use questions from our question bank. We have thousands of questions in our question bank. So if your research is, let's say, something about, let's say, the humanities, you can come to scientific research surveys and get an idea. So let's say you are doing work on social and behavioral science or economics, policy and politics. You can look at the surveys that exist and look at, okay, is that something? Let me look at politics, since it seems to be someone in the humanities. Look, let's see. Yeah, survey. Let's say voting and election survey, right? You can look at the questions that have, and then you might say, okay, these are the exact questions I want in my survey. And then you can say, oh, I just want to copy this survey. So you can just copy this entire survey and continue, right? So it should take all of this survey and create a survey for you in your own question. So let's start by created date. So now I have voting and election survey, right? I can then go ahead and edit the surveys. I can say, okay, these parties are not some parties in Nigeria. Let me change this to PDP, right? Or to NRC or whatever, right? So the answer is whatever it is that it makes sense to you as a professional. You can create your questions from scratch, or you can use questions from our survey bank, or you can have AI to create questions for you. What matters is that you oversee that process. So even if it's AI that is creating questions for you, what matters is making sure that you, the scientist, are in oversight of that process. And that's why whenever you bring things from a question bank or from AI, we flag it. That forces you to go back and make sure you review it. So I hope that part is clear. The second part of the question was whether social sciences. As you can see, this is voting and elections. That means that the Chi-Squares platform is not just for, social sciences are actual sciences too, right? But it could be any endeavor at all that involves data collection, whether it is epidemiology or political science or any area of human research endeavor. You can use that. You can collect data on the platform with that. Now, the code book. Third question was, how does the platform generate the code book, right? The code book, as mentioned, let me go back to the code book. Hold on a minute, if I can pull it up. Not that one. Let me figure out So this is the code book, right? The code book has a lot of information that is created in real time. So one of the first things you notice in the code book is that every individual who participates in the survey has a data quality score. So as participants are taking the survey, right, the platform is watching and is looking for specific things as people are taking the data in real time. So if people, like I think I mentioned this last week, if people had duplicates, the platform is noticing and detecting it in real time. If they sped through the survey, the platform is noticing and detecting and reporting it in real time. So that is how it gives rise to these values, right? So then the question specific aspects of a data dictionary, like this question says, how old were you December 31st of last year, right? You had response options, 1 meaning months and 2 meaning years. This is metadata that is generated when you are creating the questions, right? So when I was creating my survey, let me go back to that survey. Let me go to sort by created dates. So when I was creating that survey, and I came here, and as I was creating the values, right? I typed months here, I typed years, I typed centuries. The platform notices the index positions. It's basing this on index positions. So months is index position 1, years is index position 2, centuries is index position 3. So that when it's cleaning the data set, it now assigns months as 1, years as 2, centuries as 3. And that is the metadata it's capturing in these different fields. It's what it's keeping in its memory and using this to generate the code book for you. So when as you're entering things in different cells or different parts of the platform meticulously tracks all of that data for you. And it's not just tracking, it's keeping a record of it and using it to write all of this methodological reports for you so that you don't have to do that manually. So remember that when we're doing our own data cleaning in Excel, we have to create a different cell and start typing this thing one by one. Well, it is to save us all of that stress of doing it manually. That's why the platform does that automatically for you. I hope that answers the question for you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Then lastly, what is the essence of the code book?
The code book is a data dictionary, right? If you open, okay, let me open this. The clean data set, for example. If I open the clean data set and I said, data quality score, what does 11 mean? There's no way I'm going to be able to know what 11 means. Or if I said tobacco history, a value of tobacco history, what's the value of 1? What does 1 mean? What does 2 mean? I don't know what that means, all right? The only way I can know what that means is to go to the code book, right? So when I go to the code book, I can now see, okay, for tobacco history, 1 means never tobacco user. I say, oh, okay, I see. Or 2 means former tobacco user. So the code book allows you to be able to interpret what's in the clean data set. So does that make sense? So you use the code book and the data dictionary and the clean data set hand in hand so that you can know what the codes mean. All of those things are called codes. 37 is a code and 1 is a code. So to explain those codes, we need a code book. So the code book explains what the codes in our clean data set are so that we can analyze our data meaningfully.
So, sorry. Then when it comes to analysis, for example, regression and correlation, does the Chi-square also does it?
Yes, but we've not released that feature yet, but we're going to release it shortly. So keep, be on a standby.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yes.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Ido.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, my question is, are there limitations to the number of responses that these chi-squares can actually take? And do you have any limited time for data collection, or possibly you set it? Thank you.
No, you can set the data collection to last you 1 century. Hopefully you're still alive by the end of that time. And there's no limit to the platform in terms of number of responses. You can collect data from millions or billions of people. The platform is scalable, and so that means that it can accommodate no matter the number of responses that you have. So there are no limits on either the time, the duration of your survey, or the number of responses that can be captured.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Yes, Tidimoso Makene. Your hand was up for some time. I think you gave up. But if you still want to ask a question, please feel free to do so. Okay, yes, there you go. You can
I'm
unmute
sorry, it was
yourself.
up earlier on. I forgot to just put it down.
Okay, okay. Susie.
Yes, hello. Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
So, Susie Hemba from Benue State University. I'm also carrying out a research, and I wanted to know, because I currently have 4 variables, so it means I'm going to carry out a survey for 4 different sets of questions. So I want to know, how do I integrate that in the chi-squares? Do I take them separately, or can it be done as a single research, a single survey per person? Because each person will be required to answer the 4 separate surveys. So I just want to know how to upload separate questionnaires and make it like a single document. Thank you.
So if you let me get this right. You have 4 different pieces of document and you want to combine them together?
Yes, can I do that, or do I fragmentize it?
No, you can do what so the different 4, are they different sections or what?
Yeah, they're like different. I have like demographics first, then I have section A for a variable, section B, section C to E.
Oh, that's
so how
easy.
do I do that?
So what you need to do is that you add sections. So on the platform, you can come here. See, it says add section header. So let's add a section. Let's come here and say, let's go back. Let's add new survey item, and let's call this. You see here where it says prompt. Let's create a prompt, and let's select the type of prompt as section header prompt, right?
Okay.
And let's call this demographics.
Okay.
And so it says, let's add some description. This section seeks to understand your demographic background, right? So we push a questionnaire, and let's add another section header prompt so that addresses, at least the plurality of the issue. Let's add that. Let's call this tobacco use history. And let's describe it as, here we want to know your tobacco use. I will push the questionnaire.
Okay.
And so we'll come to our first question, right? I will edit this, and we click add section header prompt. You see this?
Okay.
We check that to be on, and then we select which header we want. Let's say we want demographics on that one. We update the question, right? And then let's say on tobacco use history, we come here, and we say, let's add the section header prompt here too. And we select tobacco use history, we update that, right? So when we're now previewing our survey, it will appear in sections like that. So you see demographics. This section's background that has been added there. You see, it wasn't there before, right?
Okay.
Tobacco use history. So then the user takes all the questions under that section, and then no, you don't have to divide your question. You don't have to have separate surveys. You can just have. That's the whole point of having those prompts, so that you can add and describe things so that it makes sense to participants when they're taking it. I hope that answers your question.
Beautifully well, thank you.
All right, great. Any other questions?
Hello? Hello?
So I see a question about organizational plans. So here, let me have a slide for that. So for those of you who are in Nigeria, the National Universities Commission has, let me find out that slide. the National Universities Commission has sponsored a national license for all the universities in Nigeria, right? But we will need to have, I think setting it up is a logistical nightmare. So what you could do is you could get in touch with whoever is, maybe this could be at the level of a vice chancellor, to get in touch with us so that we can help them set it up, because the institutional accounts have already been set up. The problem is now is getting in touch with people in those institutions. So what you could do to accelerate that process is you could get in touch with your vice chancellor or the central office of research and let them reach out to us, and we'll set up the institutional account for them. Now, if you're in another institution, not in Nigeria, or if you are in a polytechnic in Nigeria, you can also have your institution reach out to us, right? And so we can also set up an institutional account. But this has already been sponsored by the National Universities Commission. So for those of you in the audience who are in Nigerian universities, you can arrange with your the vice chancellor, the central office of research. There can only be one administrator in that institution. So the way it works is we will provide this, each institution has a special verification code, which we will provide. And the person who enters a verification, they account for the whole institution and can invite everybody in that institution. So there can only be one administrator. So this is how you can help in that regard. You can reach out to the folks in your vice chancellor's office or your dean of research with the process of expanding reach into all the 247 universities. And if you have any questions on that, let me know, please.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please. You can ask your question. Yes.
Yes, I am Paul Ilegusi from Ondo State College of Technology, Accra, Nigeria. I have two questions to ask very briefly. And the first one is, normally we take the consent of the respondents whenever we want to ask them or want to administer a questionnaire. Then I want to ask, does Chi-Square provides this kind of receiving the consent from the respondent before being administered the questionnaire? That's number one. Then number two is that the link we are sending, I know that is going to be a link that will be generated from the Chi-Square. And by the time when we send it to all the respondents that we want them to respond to it, is it going to give them their ID number separately, or is going to be single ID number? Thank you, sir.
Those are good questions. So yes, to your first question about the consent form, yes, of course, this is a research platform, so we have consent form. So if you want to add a consent form to this survey, you come here on a questionnaire, click there, and you see consent or assent forms. Click that. And right now, we don't have a consent form in this survey yet. So you can click to generate one. You can type whatever you want here. If you don't know how to generate what a consent form looks like, you can click on this button that says generate default content. And the platform writes out the default content for you. And so you can submit that. So that if I'm taking the survey now, let's preview the survey again. Now, and I start the survey, the first thing I see is the consent form, right? And then if I accept it, then I can proceed to the survey. So I hope that answers your first question.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
And the second question was about the unique session ID. So remember that, I think the best way to look at this is so this is the survey we just took. So you can see that each person has a unique ID, right? You have a unique ID that is unique to you. So if you pause that survey mid-time and you came back to continue that survey on that same device, the platform knows, right? So even though it's the same link that is shared to everybody has their own unique ID on the platform, right? And so if you're doing a longitudinal study where you're following people over time, when the survey administers the survey to the same person the next time, they will still maintain that same unique ID. So this unique ID is special to that person and stays with them forever and ever. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
All right, great. The other question was, can there be more? Yeah, you can have more than one question in one section. Yes, you can. The idea is you select the question. So if, let's say, questions 1, 2, and 3 are demographics, I only have to put the prompt under question 1. So questions 2 and questions 3 would then not have a prompt because they're following under that question. And then I can put the next prompt on question number 4. I hope that makes sense. So yes, you can have many questions that fall under same prompt. Or if you want, you can have all of the questions have the prompt displayed at the top. That's your own personal preference. Any other questions? Now, I saw another question that says, what about Nigeria? So this link here, this is just because this body reached out to create this special access for their members, right? Now, if your institution also wants to create, so for the question that says, what about Nigerians in diaspora? You can reach out to us, and we can also provide institutional access for your institution. So there's nothing special about NUC or Nigeria. It was just that this organization wanted access for all of their members. And so that's why we have this special arrangement set up for them. I hope that makes sense. So regardless of where you live, whether you are in Ghana or Canada or the US or wherever, if you want your institution to have access, you can reach out to us. You can have someone in that institution, maybe at the level of the dean of research or somebody in that kind of role, reach out to us and we can set up the institutional access. So I hope that answers that question as well. Any other questions? Can students have access to the platform? Of course. So institutional access means everybody in the institution, students, faculty, researchers, everybody.
How do I download? How do I download the Excel version of questions into Chisquares? We have done the Word version. Let's say if I had an Excel version, how do I download it into Chisquares? Thanks.
So right now you have to get in Word. So we accept the questionnaires in the form of Microsoft Word. So if you have the questions in Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, just copy them literally and paste them in Word and import it that way. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
Okay. How about independent researchers? If you're an independent researcher, you can Lungile, do you want to share the special access code we have?
Yes, I shared it, and yeah, I thought we would just talk about it before the. Now I'm looking for that link again, but I shared the link earlier.
Okay.
Select.
So let me also look for it and see if I can drop it here too.
The invitation, right?
Yeah, the link that invites people to our special.
Yes, yes. I just sent it. I just shared it now.
Okay, so you can also, if you can also click on that link that invites you to join our own special organization as Chisquares, so that gives you access for the next year or so. Can Chisquares generate a biodata pie chart? Yes, it does. Depending on the kind of data, the platform automatically knows the kind of data you have, and so the kind of illustration or figure it creates is specific to that. So it's not just generating random figures. It knows the kind of data you have and the kind of illustration or figure that is well suited for it. Can I use more than one questionnaire for different study? Can I use more than one questionnaire for different studies? I don't understand the question. Are you saying you can use one questionnaire for different studies? Yes, you can. How does a university contact Chisquares for institutional license? You can simply reach out to us at info@chisquares.com. So that's the email, info@chisquares.com. The email was, am I still showing my screen?
No.
Okay. So that's the email here. So somebody from the university level will reach out to us and we'll make that arrangement for your institution. Any other questions?
Even as a question, he asked about logic earlier, but I can't find his question anymore. Evans, do you want to speak? Can you raise your hand so I can allow you to speak? Okay. All right.
Okay, thank you, Lingli. Doc.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you clearly.
Okay. So I tried using the platform to create a questionnaire. And anytime I add a logic and I go back to maybe correct my questions, the arrangement changes.
Yes.
How do I correct that?
Okay, so let me answer that question. So over here, you see under this text here, the sequence of questions displayed here may not align with your prearranged order, which reflects the final sequence participants will encounter. Click here to view the final arrangement. This is the final arrangement. Now, if you look at this hint here, the hint beside says, before implementing any survey logic, ensure you finalize the question order. Rearranging questions after setting up logic will require deleting the previous logic and setting it up again from scratch. Remember that survey logic is dependent on the order in which questions are, right? So if you have a question,
Dr. Gaku.
Yes.
Were you sharing your screen? We can't see anything.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's still slides. Sorry.
Can you see it now?
Thank you. I didn't notice. Yes, yes.
Okay, so what I was saying was here, this hint here, is saying before the point of that hint is that what it's telling you that if you should make sure you have satisfied with the final order of the questions before you go and start implementing logic. Because once you implement logic and you edit the question, because you have to think about how sensitive logic is, right? Logic means that you're saying if so and so values are met, then take this action. So it depends on the value of the question. It also depends on the position. Those are very, very serious things. So if that means that if you make any change to a question after you set up logic, we don't know how it impacts the validity, right? So the only safe thing for us to do is to completely cancel that logic and have you set it up again. Like, we value convenience a lot. Obviously, we try to prioritize user convenience. But when user convenience would negatively impact the data, the quality of the data, that's when we say, no, you have to just suffer a little, right? And that's why we provide a hint here that says, if you're going to set up logic, make sure you have finalized the questionnaire. Make sure you like how the wording is and the arrangement. Because should you set up logic and you go back and change the questionnaire and you move things around, obviously that means the logic is compromised. The only way to address that is to have you start all over again. I hope they understand that makes sense.
Yeah, you're done. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Margaret?
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you clearly.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for the lecture. I just want to ask about the institutional arrangement. Are privately owned universities also covered? Can private universities also?
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And
okay, thank you.
Are you in a Nigerian private university?
Yes, in Nigeria.
Everything already is existing, right? The verification codes, everything has been set up. We just need the responsible person from those institutions to reach out to us. So if they reach out to us tomorrow, you can start enjoying institutional access tomorrow because everything has been set up already. So yeah, so they can reach us at that email, info@chisquares.com.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. What university are you from, if I might ask?
I'm from Ajayi Crowther University in Oyo.
Oh, okay.
Oyo State.
Okay, alrighty. So, because I know we have a whole bunch of private universities that set it up already yesterday or so, but that was from another university. So yeah, you can have folks from the university reach out to us.
All right.
And again, if you are from outside Nigeria or from another university, again, you can also have people from your institution reach out to us, and we will set up the institutional arrangement for them. Any other questions?
Yes, there's Gabriel. And Andy. Malibukeng, we will share the recording. Gabriel, yes. Hello, Gabriel.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, Gabriel.
Yeah, you can ask your question.
Yeah, so hello, this is Gabriel from Liberia. Please, is it possible to access last Friday webinar, especially for those of us who were unable to log in? Please, is it possible? And if possible, where can we access it, please?
So I'll send it together with the recording, today's recording. Let's say by tomorrow.
Via email?
Yes, via email. So the email addresses you use to register for the webinar, I will use those when I send.
Okay, thank you so kindly.
Alrighty.
And we also, by the way, we also, just to emphasize, we're also willing to, if we set up institutional access, we also willing to have our staff to provide training. Obviously, a tool is only as good as the training you have on it, right? So we also provide trainings to your institution. And so these are some of the things we can set up with whoever is the administrator in your institution.
Okay. So there was a comment from Funmi again. Well, Funmi wanted to do something on Stata today. Is there anything you can do about that, Dr. Gaku? Some homework or something?
Okay. We already gave you the manual, right? The manual, you remember the manual was shared last time? You are supposed to be replicating every single thing in that manual on your own. That is your homework for the whole 4 weeks. So the sessions, in the style of teaching is not that we would have, hey, this is the, it's supposed to be self-directed. So please go to that manual and, I don't know if some of you don't have the manual, and Lungile, please, you can share it again. So the manual follows a 10-step process. Step 1, step 2, follow those steps one by one. By the end of this webinar series, you should. That's how. So you are the one who will teach yourself, right? It's learning how to learn, and then when you have problems, we can then engage on those problems in class. So that your homework has already been assigned to you, which is following the step-by-step procedures outlined in the manual.
Yeah, I'll send it along with the recording. Those who were here last week should have received it because I sent it to everyone. So I'll do that again. Andy, I don't know if you want to say something. I've been giving you permission to talk as well as drumming. So anyway, any other questions? Let's see, Charles. We have Charles.
And Olusegun Olayemi, what institution are you from?
Thanks, Jarian.
Can you hear me?
Hello, Charles. Ask. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you, and good evening. I had actually raised my hand multiple times, but anyway, I just want to ask about qualitative data collection. The code or the pattern you told us about at maybe Q or at T at all of that, is that the same method we will use if we want to upload a qualitative interview guide in this case? That's one. Secondly, like somebody asked, I think Susie asked about including demographics, and we included it, automatically it came to the top. If I want to order if I want to reorder the positioning of my variables, will I be able to do that? For instance, assuming demographics is something I can move to the middle, or maybe I just want to create another section in between. How do I go about that? And then finally, I was asking, for some of us who are currently not in the country, but we've been paying our taxes before we left, and NUC has graciously, I'm sure you know where I'm going to. How can you help those? Thank you. That was a lighter note.
Charles, that is hilarious, but I feel you. Okay, let me answer your questions one after the other. So let's go to the first question, which was, how do you, so what if the question is not, so every question starts with add Q, but it depends on what follows is, and first of all, you can type these things manually directly in the platform, but this is, in case you already typed it in Microsoft Word, how do you avoid copy and paste, right? So that's the whole context. So let's say you have this question that says, please describe your pain, right? That's in many words. So this is an open-ended question. And so on the platform, how we indicate an open-ended question is a question mark, right? So everything starts with add Q, but then the platform allows, and if you're not sure what to do, just leave it as add Q, and then when you import, you can change the question type. So if you don't want to memorize all this hashtag and whatever, just leave it as add Q and end it with 3 hashtags. And when you get to the platform, you can when you remember, everything's flagged when you create a question, such that when you now edit, you can change the question type when you're creating it. So for example, here, let me go back to that. Okay, created. So when you import it, you can choose to say, okay, this question type, it's this other question type I have. But the idea is that, the tags just allows you to be able to import easily. And if you want to know more, we have on our website, we have, let me show you, Chisquares. We have that information on our website that allows you to be able to, so if you come to, I think, features, questionnaire import, yeah. So you have, these are the different symbols that allow you, and we've tried to be very, very smart with these symbols, right? Like plus means you have more than one answer. This arrow looks like a sliding scale, if you can visualize it. So this is why this is like a sliding scale. The upward arrow looks like upload, so that's why it's there, right? This is questions where you can upload a file. The number symbol means questions where you have a number. The question mark is open-ended questions. The slash, think of when you're writing date, you write this slash that. That's why we use the slash for date questions. And then you have things like this one, Likert scale question. This kind of looks like an L, like a funky L, right? Maybe I'm imagining, but it's done in such a way that it's kind of easy for you to figure it out. But the whole idea is that if you've typed your questions in a Word document and you don't want to start manually editing the question type, then you can just simply format your questionnaire like that so that the platform knows exactly what question it is, and then you can upload it.
Okay.
And then that was the first question. The second question was, can you move questions? Yeah, you can move questions, of course. You can move questions however you want. So let's say that, let me find, where's my survey now? Not that. Sorry, I lost my place. Aha. So let's say this is my survey, and this is a survey we're doing. And I want to move here, age is number 1. You can come to logic and come to rearrange questions. You can move anything anywhere you want. See that? There are two ways to do that. You can come here and select the number, but that's a very slow way of doing it. I just prefer grabbing it and moving it to where I want. So you can move things wherever you want, and that is where they'll stay. And once you're done, you will say apply. But know that once you apply, any logic you set will be condemned, and you have to set it up again, right? And that's why automatically, as I've moved it here, the platform automatically throws me a flag. And the flag is telling me that this one, you've moved the question. That means that the skip patterns you set are no longer valid because you've moved the position of a question. So that means that the order in which people were supposed to move has changed. So you have to go and set that flag again. So when I go there, I have to delete this, and then you know, and you can, if you hover over the stuff, it tells you why you have a flag. So here it says that you have repositioned your survey questions, and this may have affected your survey logic that relies on the order of questions. And so in this case, I'll have to delete it and create it all over again. So that was the second question, how to rearrange questions. Yeah, you can move questions any way you want, and that's all fine. The next question was those of you who are in foreign institutions. Yeah, like I said, you can have your institution contact us, and if you don't, you know, we also shared a link. If you click on that link that Lungile shared, that gives you access to our organization. So we welcome you into our own organization and give you access for a year. So that you have two ways of doing it. You can contact your institution if you really have, if for example, you might be a professor in a school and you want your students to have access as well. So that way you set it up for them, or you can just use the link we provided and you can also have access. Either way is fine. But if there's no logic, yes, so if you don't have any logic, you have no issues to worry. Yes, if there's no logic, so will the institution pay for the next 12 months? No, they don't have to pay. So for the next 12 months, it's going to be, you know, it's going to be free for the institutions. All right, any other questions?
So Sakaku, can you show, I don't know if you can show us again how you downloaded the format in which the questionnaire should be in when someone wants to upload
on the website
questionnaire. Yeah, from there.
Okay.
Someone
So
asked
there are two ways to do that, right? If you're already in the platform, if you go to add survey question and you say, oh, sorry, let's go back. You say, you click on here and you say you want to import from Word document. And there's a sample questionnaire already there, right? So you can download a sample and it will show you how examples of, so this is what I just downloaded. It's saying this is the title. We've highlighted every single question supported is in that document, just to show you how it's done. So this is the title. It must start with 2 @ followed by T for title. If you have some information that is like a prompt, I for information, then sliding scale. So you can go through that and it gives you, this is an example. Now, if all else fails, you can always ask quick. Guys, you should learn how to make use of quick questions. This is supposed to help you. So any question you have, you can say, come down here and say, how can I import a survey questionnaire that is in the form of a Word document? Okay, now if you don't like the answer, it's AI, so the answer might be a bit funky. You can try and regenerate the response, and then if you can reach out to us. But again, like I said, if you're already on the platform, you can look at the templates, or if you're on the website, you can go to again our website Chisquares.com, and under you go to Word questionnaire import. And you can also access the sample questionnaire from here too with full formatting. So either way, you should be covered. So qualitative data. So I think we already answered the question about qualitative data. We said, yes, you put a question mark in front of it to tell that it's an open-ended question. If it's a question that you're asking them to upload an item, then it's the upload, it's the up arrow.
You still speaking?
No, I'm done, yeah.
Okay. Lydia asked, can I download my answered questionnaire from Google Form into Chi-Squares for cleaning and analysis?
No, you cannot. Unless it has been, because again, remember why the platform does all it does is because when you collect data, the platform has special registers. So let me show you again if I can find it. So when the Chi-Squares platform collects data, you can see that the responses have, each variable has a special code in front of it. This is x_1_26_1_0, and so on and so forth, right? This is the genetic print that allows the platform to determine what kind of variable this is and what format it's in, what kind of analysis should be done. So these are special instructions that are built into the code of the data intrinsically. When you import your data, there's no way, this does not exist. So the platform has no way of knowing whether this is a categorical variable or whether it has no way of doing that. So that's why it's impossible for you to just grab data you collected on Google Forms and bring it to the Chi-Squares platform. You have to have set your questionnaire on the platform before you can make your life easy. So can research institutions have access to this? Yes, of course. If you want your research institute to have access, again, reach out to us at info@chi-squares.com and we'll make the necessary arrangements for you. And once your institution have access, we can also create special sessions just for your institution so that it's more tailored to your specific needs institutionally.
Is Courage still here? I want to be able to draw a map of, oh, sorry, Lydia, is your question, is that all you wanted to ask? I see your hand was also raised. Okay. Yeah, Lydia. Okay, we can't hear you if you're speaking, but we see you unmuted. Okay. I want to be able to draw a map of respondents at the end of the survey. How do I get the GPS location for my map?
So we capture data for GPS locations, but we don't release it in the public data because that breaches security and that breaches anonymity. Imagine you are collecting data on very sensitive issues and you ask the individual says, yeah, I just killed somebody and I and I have HIV and I have that. Collecting their data, their geolocation means that we can be able to pinpoint every single respondent to where they are. That is no longer anonymous data. So for those reasons, the platform does not in the public release, we do not release data on participants' location because the platform has to comply with certain standards, security standards. And so for that is the reason why we don't capture that data. I hope that makes sense to you.
Excuse me, Doc?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Once more. There was a question that was asked around the cookbook formulation, and your response was that the cookbook is formulated from the metadata. Let's say, for example, I wanted to add my own jargon. For example, DOC means a doctor, which is not part of the metadata. How would I be able to do that? Thank you.
Well, you can create, when you're creating a question, right, you can add DOC for doctor as the label. So for example, right, let's go back to our survey and let's say you are creating a question that says, which of the following, how long have you been a doctor? my label could be DOC, right? And then let's say I want to ask them in number of years, so I put lower and upper limit, and I say, okay, they're from 0 years to 100 years. That's how long they've been a doctor. So that this is a question they ask, how long have you been a doctor? They can select the number, whatever number they want, so that when I analyze the data in the code book, the variable name will be the doc, right? DOC. That whatever you have provided is captured, is automatically now metadata. So you can specify whatever the labels are, and automatically those become metadata that are now used in construction of the variable names and in designing the architecture of the data. Does that make sense?
I understand where you're coming from a metadata in terms of association that happens in the background. But now, let's say like semantically, I want to say like I have various doctors. A doctor that removes teeth is whatever jargon that we use in our organization. A doctor that cuts hair, whatever jargon that we use in our institution. How would I like form my own taxonomy? That's my question.
So are you talking about in the report or what? Because
in the report, maybe I put it as an abbreviations. I want to put in some abbreviations and then say, even in a legal document, I want to say like exit means coming out of the door rather than exit means coming out of the window.
So you can find a way of incorporating those elements in whatever form you want, right? In the questionnaire. So for example, if your question is a multiple response question, you have different types of doctors that you're trying to assess. So let's say you have, doctor who removes teeth, right? Or you have eye doctor, whatever it is, right? So maybe the question is, what kind of doctor are you? And you have different jargons, and you can say dentist here, and you can say, for example, ophthalmologist here. Whatever you want, you can type it, right? But then it now reduces to what label do we need to capture it with? What the label is the variable name eventually. So you would have to assign the variable names. You can ask AI to suggest it for you. AI can say, okay, based on what you provided here, I think that these are some nice variable names you can assign. So AI is suggesting that we should call it, for example, tooth taker. That is rather hilarious. Or dental doc. That is more dignifying. Let's put that. Or it says eye doctor. You can again type whatever you want, right? Or you can ask AI to suggest it for you. And so, it suggests, and then you can then, so whatever you're typing can be here, so that when the participant is looking at the question, it says, what kind of eye doctor are you? Doctor who removes teeth, eye doctor. This is what the participant is seeing. The metadata, the participant doesn't care about that, but that is what eventually goes into the background to form the data structure, which will be used in your analysis. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Importing these variables equatable to what you have typed, how do you then import it into a report to say like I want the specific variables only to be imported in the report?
Oh, so when you are doing your analysis, you say you want to restrict your analysis, for example, only to eye doctor, or you want
not as such.
Okay, when you're
what
doing
I want.
Sorry, I'm interrupting you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, what I want to achieve is when I create a report, I wanted this taxonomies that I have created here to form an abbreviation list on my report.
Okay, so the platform does all that. So when you generate the analysis report, the platform analyzes all the questions for you, right? You can also decide to say, I don't want my analysis to be among everybody. I want my analysis to be only for a subset of the population. Let's say I only want my analysis to be among people who say they are, they have they use tobacco or they've been to an eye doctor, right? And then I can say if tobacco, whatever the variable is equal to this, then analyze my population only among that group. So when you download your analysis report, it's only among the population you want. So you can then take that report and do whatever you want. You can decide to do whatever you want. But now the platform, what it does for you is to say, we're going to do your entire analysis for you. We can either analyze it for the whole population, or we can analyze it for a subset that you decide, right? But whatever you decide, the platform will do that for you. What you take with the results and do is now left to you.
Can the subset now be a subset of a particular, like a unique ID in terms of their responses?
Yeah, of course, yes. It can be, and you can define that subset however you want, right? You can define it by many variables. You can say, okay, I want my subset to be defined by tobacco history and by their age last time and by their legal smoking, and you define whether tobacco history is this, and you can have all ages exactly, whatever you want, right? You define that by whatever criteria you have, and then the platform will then perform the analysis exactly based on what you have specified.
Maybe you don't understand my question. Let's say like I've got 10 respondents. From the 10 respondents,
okay.
Respondents 1 to 10 with unique identification numbers. Then I want a respondent number 9. How respondent number 9 has responded. Can I be able to draw a report on that? Respondent number 9 only?
Or if you want the respondent number 9 only, then you go download the raw data set and you look at respondent number 9 in the raw data set. You go to the 9 and look at their responses. You cannot analyze data for one person. Analysis by definition means an aggregation. It's a summary. We cannot summarize data for one person. So if you want to look at the rest, sorry?
How would I import this Excel data into just that one row into some form of a Word document?
You can copy and paste. You can, that is a manual process for however you want to do it, right? If I wanted it for just for this person, then I can copy and paste, I can do whatever, but that's completely up to you at that point.
Okay, I'm answered. Thanks, Doc.
Okay, great, yeah. Okay, any other question?
Yes.
Can one use secondary data? Yes and no, not now. We're working on the feature which will be released soon, but we'll let you know once it's released. But for now, it's data that you have collected in the survey on the platform.
For a study on geospatial modeling, how the researcher can get the geographic coordinates of surveyed points, at least at village level, if the platform does not show this information due to security issues?
Okay, that's a good question. I mean, for special requests, right? We can accommodate special requests on a case-by-case basis and release due data, right? So that's a special exception clause. But for other cases, you can choose to capture that. So if you have if it's in a rural survey you're doing and you're going house to house, you can also include a special variable for the longitude and latitude and collect that data. Although I think the easiest thing for you is that if you are especially doing data that involves geospatial analysis, then you can write your specially to to release, and we'll find a way of making sure that the responses then are no longer at the individual level but aggregated. So that way we meet your needs without putting individuals' responses at jeopardy. So that might be your best bet in that kind of case. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Doc,
yes.
The one last question.
Yes.
In programming, we have got what we call API, a way of doing things by calling a particular object so that you can be able to achieve a lot from a database. Let's say, for example, I go to a bank. I can just put my fingerprint in the bank's teller. The bank's API will interrogate Home Affairs to define who I am. And that's the logic around programming. Somebody has got to program that. In data analysis, you're saying you have different pockets of data that is situated in various institutions. For one, within America, you have got that institution that you showed us, the JMB data set, where they allow you access to a particular data, then you can do a statistical data analysis so that you can write a journal. Let's say, for example, in other countries, maybe this question might not be posed directly to you, but to any other person that is listening from a South African perspective note. How would I be, let's say, for example, I was interested in, just a hypothetical example, in ensuring that I can deter a crime within South Africa. Then I say, for example, any other person that is going to come into the estate that I'm living in. I need to have access to a repository from Home Affairs of the people that live in our estate. How would I go about asking a particular government department of their data?
That is beyond the scope of this course or the platform, because that has more to do with official or administrative requests of special access to a government agency. But you would have to just check up with whatever government that is, and see whether that's data that would be released, right? Because there are also caveats that govern how data are released, even from government agencies to the public. And one of the concerns, obviously, is security, that we're not releasing data that has, identifiable or potentially identifiable information. But that would be beyond the scope of this session.
How, if I can ask, how did you gain access to maybe the CDC data or the JMB data that?
Those ones are publicly available. So if you go, for example, to CDC website, for example, CDC and HIN, right? You'll see the data sets are all publicly available. So you can come here, questionnaire, data sets and related information. You can download the data set and analyze it, whatever you want. Different countries have different, different ways of providing data, but not all countries do. So that's why it's very country specific. So you would have to really look into the country that you are interested in specifically.
Okay, thanks, Doc.
You're welcome. Okay. Next, what? Any other question?
No.
Okay.
Titiloye. Oyejide. You can unmute yourself and speak, Titiloye.
All right. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, we can.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the lecture. It's quite insightful. Now, I still have a question concerning this issue of signing for 1 year subscription, and that a link was sent earlier, and I wrote my question on the platform. I think it was not really answered. I click on that link. It took me back to my login page, my dashboard, and I don't understand what to do again. So I need some clarity on that.
Okay. Now, I'm assuming you used the link that was for our institution as Chisquares, right? So that asks to give your name and your email, right? Are you still with me? Okay, maybe we lost him.
Yes, okay. Yeah, I'm still with you, sir. I didn't hear you the last.
I'm saying that I assume that when you clicked on that form, it brought you to a form where it asked you to enter your name and email. Is that correct?
Yes. Okay. I will sign in. Okay, log in again and write my name and email, my email address.
Yeah. Click on that link. Provide your name and email, right? It will then and submit. It will generate a special email to you, and you should check your spam if you did not get that email. Once you click on access, what that does is that it automatically adds you to our own special institutional account so that you have access. But again, that will be for the next 12 months or so. What if are you a member of any academic institution in Nigeria?
No, I'm a student in one of the universities in Nigeria.
Yeah, so you're a member of a community. Which university is that?
As a private university, Lee City University.
Yeah, so Lead City, yeah. So we have institutional access for them too. So your best bet will be to get somebody from your university to contact us so that we can set up an institutional account for them. So that way, because the sponsorship from NUC covers all universities, both private and public. So that will be your more permanent solution. So again, get somebody from your institution to contact us at info@chisquares.com because the institutional accounts have already been set up. We just need a member from that institution who will be the administrator.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Salilo, I can see your hand up.
Salilo.
Apologies, that was a lazy hand, but I managed to get a hold of the question that I was asking, that I asked you earlier on in terms of the public available data set within South Africa.
Okay, great. Okay, any other last questions? Okay. I think we've covered all your questions comprehensively. All right. Well, thanks for joining the session, and we look forward to seeing you next week. And Henry, you have your hand up, and you want to ask one last quick question before we leave.
Okay, yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you clearly.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Actually, it's about the strata. I don't know. We didn't talk about the strata today.
Yeah,
though I came late.
Yeah, today we focus on data cleaning, and one of the things we established at the beginning of the class was that data is not well conducive for data cleaning. So we said that when you're analyzing data, you have to use the simplest tool that gets the job done, right? So even if you're using Stata for your work, Stata is not designed for data cleaning. So we went through the whole process of cleaning your data in Excel so that you can take it to Stata and analyze it. Stata is designed for analysis, not for data cleaning. So you're going to struggle a lot if you're trying to clean your data in Stata. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why, because this session was focused on data cleaning.
Okay, because I learned that the validity is for a week. I think that's the license.
Yes, that's correct. Unfortunately, we don't have control over that. That's an external agency.
Oh, thank
so
you.
I wish they could give us for 1 month, but they could only. I mean, this things cost money and time, so I understand why they can only issue it for a week.
Okay, so it's just for us to use it ourselves.
Yes, exactly. Yes, and then if you want, you have to go and buy. But that has nothing to do with us, and that's just data as a company. All right. It was nice chatting with you guys, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Dr. Kaku.
You're welcome, and bye.
And thanks, everyone.